Hi Creekers! In this video today I'm going to show you how to use sandpaper to take off the sharp edges from pieces of wood that we're going to be using in our project on Wednesday. So in the package from camp you should have gotten a bundle of supplies that looks like this. It's about 29 sticks. Some of them have holes in them, some of them don't. There should be a piece of sandpaper inside. What I want you to do is go ahead and open that bundle and take out all of the pieces of wood that are about this long. There's one piece in there that's going to be a spacer stick. Don't lose that. We will use it during our class on Wednesday. So just put it back in your box for safekeeping along with anything else that was in the bundle. So when we're sanding, there are a couple different types of sandpaper that we can use. We can use ones that are really coarse, such as this. This is a 60 grit piece of sandpaper. When we're using it to sand, it will take quite a bit of wood off, but it does leave big scratches behind. On the opposite end of our spectrum, there are very fine pieces of sandpaper. This one right here is 220 grit. The finer the sandpaper, the higher the number will be. This is actually sandpaper that you would want to use towards the end of a sanding project because it's what's going to give you the smoothest surface whenever you're done with your project. And then in the middle, there's quite a few numbers that we could use today. We're going to be using 150 because that's what I sent you in the mail to sand our pieces of wood down. So a couple of safety things about using sandpaper. It does tend to create a bit of sawdust. So for our own protection, we want to make sure that we have safety glasses with us so that we can protect our eyes. And we want to wear a dust mask or a bandana, something that we can cover up our mouth and nose just to keep sawdust from flying through the air into our face. Sawdust is pretty light, and I am in a well-ventilated area today because sanding also tends to create quite a big mess. So make sure that you are somewhere, preferably outside or in your home that has good ventilation and will not leave a mess behind. So when we're sanding, if you actually look at some of these examples that were done last year, these were just some scrap pieces of wood. This one right here is still pretty rough. It's got quite a few splinters on the edges, and some of our campers wanted to practice sanding, so they took these blocks and some sandpaper, and just using some elbow grease, they were able to smooth them out. And I don't know if the image shows up quite a bit, but usually if you run your fingers across an unsanded piece of wood and a sanded piece of wood, you can really tell the difference in the one that had some work done on it. So I'm just gonna set those aside. Okay, so when we're sanding, we're going to try and get rid of this sharp edge that is on all of your pieces. Typically, it's a good idea for a project like this that we're going to be assembling them to sand first thing. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to sand your project once it's put together. So we're looking to get rid of this sharp edge on all the sides of our piece, and we're also looking to get rid of any imperfections like this that was made from the saw. That's where we just got some splinters and we want to smooth them out. So since you guys have a 150 grit piece of sandpaper, I'm also going to use the same. What we'll be doing today is sanding with the grain on our wood and just along each edge. So we're going to sand back and forth in nice even strokes, applying just a little bit of pressure at a time. The more you go, it is going to start to generate some heat. So as you sand, and actually this is 100 grit sandpaper, not 150. Yours should be 150. So as you sand, when you remove the sandpaper, you can start to feel a difference between a side that hasn't been sanded and one that has been sanded. We're not looking to completely round this edge over. It is possible to do that just depending on how much time and effort you want to put in. We're just looking to get rid of the sharp edge. So again, I'm not sure if it'll show up on the video, but this one right here has had all of the edges sanded just slightly enough that there's a little bit of a roundness to them. Just something that's not quite as drastic as a factory cut. Also, it is possible to sand too much, so if you look at these edges, you can see right here on this corner, I just sanded and sanded and sanded just to see what would happen, and it certainly took that corner right off. If that's what you're going for, great, but if it's not, just make sure that as you're sanding, you are using even pressure the whole way through. For some people, sanding can irritate their skin. If you have really sensitive skin, it might be a good idea to wear gloves. For everybody, it's a good idea to wash your hands after you're done sanding because you want to get all of the sawdust off of your skin before you touch your face or before you eat something. So make sure that you do avoid touching your eyes or your face as you're sanding, and always wash your hands whenever you're finished. So I'm gonna get to work on all of these pieces. I hope you guys do the same. It is gonna take a little bit of time. Don't feel like you have to do them all in one sitting, but make sure that by the time we have class on Wednesday, all of your pieces are nice and sanded and ready to go. Thanks, everybody.